Good morning and welcome to a class on real numbers. We're going to begin the session with the Euclid's division lemma. Lemma is a statement which is used to prove other statements, and Euclid had used this specific lemma to prove many of his theorems. So it's a pretty famous lemma, and its statement is fairly simple. I'll just lay it down for you. Given two integers a and b, where b not equal to 0, there exists unique integers q and r such that a is equal to b q plus r, where r is greater than or equal to 0 and less than b. If you just look at it, this isn't a very difficult statement. Let me rewrite that for you. Integers a and b, and you'll get a is equal to b q plus r, where again 0 is less than or equal to r, which is less than b. So the truth is, you have already seen this statement a long time ago. This is simply the long division method. That is, if someone asks you to divide a with b, you simply write down a and then you divide it with b, and then you get your answer as q, and after doing all the math you get some remainder as r. This is basically the exact same statement I have written here, that this a is equal to this b into this q, and this r is added to it. In fact, if you don't already know, they have their own names. A here is called the dividend, b is called the divisor, q the quotient, and r is called the remainder. So you divide the dividend with the divisor to get the quotient and remainder, and then the dividend is equal to divisor times the quotient plus the remainder. That is basically just what the Euclid's division lemma suggests. And a few other things. B not equal to 0, because you can't divide a number by 0. Then 0 less than r, 0 less than or equal to r less than b. We'll get to this in a second. And let me just give you an example to make this a little more clear maybe. Let's try dividing 23 with 5. Random example, I just popped it out. And so first I'll write 23, then try dividing with 5, and 5 doesn't go in 2, 5 goes in 20, it goes 4 times, so I'll get a remainder of 3. So I'll write down with the lemma that 23 is equal to 23 is equal to 5 times 4 plus 3, where 23 is a, 5 is b, 4 is q, and 3 is r. Becomes pretty clear. In fact, let me also use a small analogy that might make it even more clear if it isn't. That is, let's say I have, from this very same example, let's say I have 23 coconuts. Yeah, just a random coconut. Let's say I have 23 coconuts, and I want to arrange them into rows of coconuts that contain 5 coconuts each. So as you can see, there are 5 coconuts in one row, and then I'm going to fill up this entire batch with multiple rows, and a total of 23 coordinates. So let me quickly do that. And as you can see, I've drawn out 23 coordinates. There are a total of 23 coordinates, and in a single row there are 5 coordinates. And as you can see, there are 4 perfect rows, that is 4 rows having 5 coordinates each, and 3 remaining coordinates. This plays out very well. This 23 is A, that is the total number of coordinates in this case. This 5 is B, that is how many coordinates you want per row. This 4 is Q, that is how many rows there remains. And this 3 is R, the remaining coordinate, the remainder. I hope that makes it very clear. Let me just tell you 2 more small points. The first one is that the given A and B, that is, if A and B are given to you as distinct numbers, then there exists unique integers Q and R. This is stated in the lemma that Q and R will be unique. That is, say for example, had I given you again 23 and 5, then I'll get 5 into 4 plus 3. Then this 4, which is a quotient, and this 3, which is a remainder, is unique. You can't get any other combination of quotient and remainder that gives you the exact same numbers A and B. And the other point was that the remainder is greater than or equal to 0, but also less than Q. Less than B. The remainder is less than greater than or equal to 0, but less than B. This is pretty obvious, because if the remainder was ever greater than B, then you can get more than one combinations of it. That is, it won't be unique. Let me give you an example. 23 will be equal to, again, B is 5, A is, please write that down for you. A is 23 and B is 5. Then you will have 23 is equal to 5 into 3 plus 8. 15 plus 8 is 23, right? 15 plus 8 is equal to 23. So 5 into 3 plus 8 is also 23. But here, this is also in the lemma format. Here 5 is B and 3 is the quotient and 8 is the remainder. But as you can see, the remainder is not less than the divisor. 8 is not less than 5. So I can actually, what I can do is, I can just split this up into 5 plus 3, and I can rewrite it again as the previous statement, that is 5 into 4 plus 3. And this is how it will actually turn out, because the remainder has to be less than the divisor. With that out of the way, let me move on to the next topic, which is Euclid's, again Euclid, division algorithm, not lemma, algorithm. So Euclid's division algorithm. Now an algorithm is a series of steps which you can follow to arrive at a certain result. It's basically a procedure which you can follow, and it will have its own results. In this case, our procedure, called the Euclid's division algorithm, has a set of steps which you can use to find the HCF of two given numbers, let's say A and B, using the Euclid's division lemma, because that's what the topic, that's what the title says. So you have to use the Euclid's division lemma, and you have to follow an algorithm, a series of steps, such that you can find the HCF of two numbers A and B which are given to you. And just to remind, you probably already know it, but just to remind you of what the HCF is, HCF, which is the highest common factor, is the largest number that can perfectly divide A and B. HCF is the largest factor of A and B, you can put it that way. Or HCF is the greatest number which perfectly divides without any remainder both A and B. Let me just give you a short quick example. Let's try 60 and 100. Very simple example. I can immediately say the HCF is 20 because 20 divides 60 to give me 3 and 20 divides 100 to give me 5, and more importantly there is no other number greater than 20 that is able to divide both 100 and 60. So 20 is the highest number that can do it. So 20 is the highest common factor. 20 is the HCF. So clearly you know what an HCF is. Let me now describe the Euclid's division algorithm and tell you how to find the HCF of two given numbers A and B. So first of all, you have to just assign the greater number as A. Let's say you are given two numbers, one of them will be greater than the other. Let's say A is greater than B. We are going to use that now. So the first step in Euclid's division algorithm is to just show A as BQ plus R. Very simple. Just use the Euclid's division lemma, and in fact you have to use long division as well. You'll obviously have to use long division because that's a part of the lemma. So if you use long division, you have to divide A with B. So you're dividing A with B, and you'll get quotient Q, and you'll do all the math, and you'll get the remainder R, and that you'll write down here as A equal to BQ plus R. That's the first step. Very simple. Now for the second step, what you have to do is just look at this. This is the divisor, this is the remainder. You have to divide the divisor with the remainder. Divisor by the remainder. And again you can express it in terms of the Euclid's division lemma, which will come out to be the divisor B is equal to the previous remainder R into a new quotient, some other number, not the same Q, so I'll write it as Q1. Don't get confused, it's just a notation. Q1 is just another quotient, and again R1 is just another remainder. It's just another number that you get after you proceed to this specific division. And just look at this here. If you continue the long division, just observe that I'd divided the divisor with the remainder. It's same as moving over this divisor to here, like here, and dividing the divisor with the remainder. So I do that, and I'll get the next quotient Q1, and the next remainder R1. Pretty simple. I didn't do anything. I just divided first I just divided the numbers themselves, and then I divided the divisor with the remainder. Very simple. And as the third step, or as you'll continue doing this, all of this, you'll next use the next remainder to divide the next divisor, and you'll continue doing this until you get a remainder to be 0. Let's say after you go through so many turns, you get say some C as the previous divisor, and you'll get some constant C, the previous divisor happened to be C, equal to some X into Y plus 0. This remainder is 0. And let's say this Y is the quotient you get after the last division. That is, you continue this division until you reach a specific division where you divide C with X and you get a quotient of Y and you get a remainder of 0. Oh, and don't get confused, this X and Y just took at random. There needn't be any variables at all. So this X happens to be the last divisor, and the remainder turns out to be 0. When the remainder turns out to be 0, you can say for sure that the last divisor is the HCF you require. It looks simple, it is, trust me, it's very simple. This X comes out to be the HCF. But if you did not understand that, it's fine. I'll elaborate with an example, because examples will clear it up for you. So let me give you a very simple example. Let's go with I don't know, 1036. It just felt like it, and 228. Let 1036 is greater than 228, so 1036 is A and 228 is B. Now, as a first step, you're supposed to express A as BQ plus C. BQ plus R answer. But you can't directly outright do this right now. You have to first divide and see. Sorry, my line is like very straight. You have to first divide and see. That is, you're dividing A with B. If I do the exact same thing with the numbers, is the same as dividing 1036 with 228. And you can do this yourself. I am very slow at this, and it goes 4 times, I think. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's just write that down again. And if you subtract this, you will get 44, I think. Yeah, so write down the first step, that is 1036 is equal to 228 into 4 plus 44. Now you can see this is the dividend, this is the divisor, this is the quotient, and this is the remainder. Now I'll naturally proceed to the next step, in which I'll divide the divisor with the remainder. Maybe I should have grabbed that, I'm sorry. So the remainder here is 44, and the previous divisor happened to be 228. So I'm going to divide 228 with 44. You don't have to put these arrows, I just put them so that you can see it properly. And if you do this, you'll get this to be 5, I think. 220, and that will come out to be 8. So you can, I'm again writing this down. You may or may not be writing this down depending on marks and how you're taught at school and all, but I am writing it down every time just to make it clear. So 228 is the current dividend, because you're dividing it, and the divisor happens to be 44, the quotient is 5, and the remainder is 8. This is the remainder, this is the quotient, this is the divisor, and this is the dividend. Now the remainder is 0 yet, so I'm continuing the process. The remainder divided by the divisor, in which case I'll be taking this over here, 44, which will actually again go 5 times, I think. Minus 40 gives me 4. So again I'll write that down. 44 is equal to 8 times 5 plus 4. Now I'll do the process again, since the remainder is still not 0. So I'll divide the divide the divisor again by the remainder. So as you can see, it's moving out to the screen now. 8 2 times, and it goes perfectly, so the remainder is 0. Let me write that down just one last time. 8 is equal to 4 times 2 plus 0. Now just observe, the remainder is 0. And as I've mentioned before, when the remainder is 0, the divisor, not the quotient, the divisor, which is 4 in this case, is what I want. It's the HCF. There you have it. The HCF of 1036 and 228 happens to be 4. Now just notice this, it just happens to be 4. 4 is a very small number. It needn't be 4. It could have been much larger numbers had I chosen other pairs of numbers. It just happens to be 4 in this case. And that concludes our session today, which happened to do with Euclid's division lemma as well as Euclid's division algorithm. But again, half of mathematics is practice, and if you did not perfectly understand it, it's perfectly fine. The next session will have to do with questions using the division lemma as well as the division algorithm. Thank you. Now I'll do the process again since the remainder is still not 0. So I'll divide the divisor again by the remainder. So as you can see, it's moving out of the screen now. 8 2 times, and it goes perfectly, so the remainder is 0. Let me write that down just one last time. 8 is equal to 4 times 2 plus 0. Now just observe, the remainder is 0. And as I've mentioned before, when the remainder is 0, the divisor, not the quotient, the divisor, which is 4 in this case, is what I want. It's the HCF. There you have it. The HCF of 1036 and 228 happens to be 4. Now just notice this, it just happens to be 4. 4 is a very small number. It needn't be 4. It could have been much larger numbers had I chosen other pairs of numbers. It just happens to be 4 in this case. And that concludes our session today, which happened to do with Euclid's division lemma as well as Euclid's division algorithm. But again, half of mathematics is practice, and if you did not perfectly understand it, it's perfectly fine. The next session will have to do with questions using the division lemma as well as the division algorithm. Thank you.